me start by saying thanks for doing this. Welcome to In Effect Hardcore. Um, and I'll just kick it right off. Can I get a little bit of the backstory of the band, of how things came to be? Um, because I know, Chui, you were chasing this band idea for a while, right?
Well, not really. It came. The thing is that we met at a shelter concert in Barcelona when they were touring there. So at the end of the show, I went there to say hi with a friend. We took pics, and then we started following. He started following me on Instagram, and we started talking. And he was like, "Oh, you're a great singer," and yeah. And we were joking about. I think that you first told me we could make a song together, and I was like, "Okay."
Chewy's got like a really good energy about her. She's just got this kind of positive, optimistic, charismatic energy, and I just kind of picked up on it. And she was telling me that she was a singer, and I was like, yeah, I was kind of joking. I was like, yeah, we should do a band. I bet you would be a really good singer. Just because very kind of.
I know that I am. I know that I am.
It's just so weird how this band actually came up. And just the fact that this one person was like, yeah, we should do a band. And now all of a sudden we're in a band. It's almost unbelievable when you think about it. It's almost just seems like it was fate and like destiny at work in the picture a little bit.
Yeah,
but I was really consistent with the idea too, because he told me like, oh yeah, yeah. And I was like, no, man, I'm serious.
fast forward how much time, and you've got Vinny Panza and Tim from Bold, and you're in this band. So what's that like being from Spain, and all of a sudden you're, thrust into a band with, you know, uh recognizable people from the hardcore community in the
crazy.
States,
It's
that's
crazy.
wild.
It's crazy. I mean, if I told my 15-year-old me that this would happen, my mind will explode. But one part of it would say, okay, it makes sense, because, yeah, because I always knew what I wanted to do in life. And I love Spain, all right, but I always wanted to go to the States, live there, have my band there, and play in a big hardcore band. But it's super difficult in Spain to do something like this because the scene is so small. And if you play in a band singing in English, there are lots of people that tell you, no, you should sing in Spanish, but that, which I don't like really. But if you sing in Spanish, um, it gets smaller because you cannot like cross the barriers so easily.
Sure.
So I've been playing in bands all my life, but it didn't get nowhere. So as I'm a professional singer too, I sang lots of different styles. But when we met, I wasn't playing in any band. And I was like, oh, I miss it so much. So when this opportunity came, it was like, okay, that's the one. That's the opportunity that I have to chase.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I saw online. I looked up some of the stuff you've done before, and it was like sort of almost like poppy electronic music, and I was like, whoa,
yeah.
what a sort of difference to jump into hardcore punk rock,
No,
and
but it's not like that. It's just that I've been singing and playing I play bass and I've been playing in hardcore bands all my life. But I also did that.
right.
I mean, it's not that I'm a pop singer, electronic singer, and then I started singing hardcore. It's just that I can do both.
Yeah, that's awesome.
As happy as I am about this record coming out, I'm almost happier for Chewy, because if you know Chewy, like Chewy is so talented and she's like such a natural kind of like rock star. Even when we were filming our video for Do You Know Why, if you've seen it, like we go by this waterfall, and the waterfall is by my house, and people go swimming there. Labor Day weekend, and so a lot of people are out, and so there was so many people that were like hiking down the trails, and then when we got to the waterfall, there was all these people just kind of like around there. And so Chewy had to do her part where she's just singing in front of the waterfall. And I was going to give her, I gave her a little pep talk. I was like, look, Chewy, There's a lot of people here. Don't feel self-conscious. Like, just kind of try to pretend that they're not here, because I know it's a little embarrassing just to like sit and like lip sync to this music with a camera on you. It's just like, just try to focus. And Chewie was like, I got this. And she just gets up there like a freaking rock star in front of everybody. And it's just like really animated and really like doing it. And, you know, so she's just kind of like a natural thing where she's just like, it was almost like she's just kind of born to be, you know, a singer and a front person and like in a band, but it's just never really happened for her. You know, she never even got to do a record, you know, like a real record.
Right.
So the chorus of that song is, I'm not gonna lie, now I feel like I can fly. Do you know why? Finally, it's there. Everything falls into place right in my face. Like, finally, she's always wanted to be in a band. She got in this band with, like, you know, a guitar player from all these bands that she liked. And somehow or other just came together. And I'm just so super happy for her.
Thank you. You're going to make me cry, because it's like that. It's like that. You know how many times I cried listening to that song, to my words from my heart? I mean, when people listen to it, it can be whatever. But for me, you know how important is this? Like, as he said, everything falls into place right in my face. Like, destiny is here. Ah! You know, this is what you have to do.
Yeah, it's funny. You actually just answered sort of two of my questions that I was about to ask. One was actually about that lyric, so I'm really glad that you gave us that little bit of information, because I woke up this morning and I had watched the video before, but I woke up today and me and my 4-year-old watched the video twice in a row, because he loves radio towers and you climb the radio tower at the end. And so he was like, I want to watch the tower video. I said, all right, cool, you know. So we watched it again. And I heard that lyric, and it was the first time that I had really thought about that. And I was going to ask you what if you could share what that was about, and now knowing, you know, it makes a lot of sense. That's awesome.
It's about this, because I tried so many things, like forcing things to happen. Like, okay, this doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to start singing pop, and which I like, I repeat. But electronic music, it's not my thing, you know. It's I don't feel it with passion as punk rock and hardcore. That's my life. So I tried like forcing things to happen, but when I wasn't looking for it, it came. You know, and that's why the lyrics tell that destiny has its own fate. You know, like.
Yeah. And then my next question was going to be about what it was like walking around Brooklyn and Coney Island lip syncing in the middle of the day. You know, did you get nervous at all? Was it like, you know, was there any sort of like hesitation?
Chui does not get nervous. She was freaking born to do this. Like, that's what I actually realized. Like, we could play a show in front of 100,000 people tomorrow, and Chui wouldn't be this much nervous. She'd be like excited. Most people
excited, yeah, I would be excited.
99.9 people would be super nervous.
Do you have plans for shows coming up? How's that going to work? Are you going to Chewy, are you going to fly in from Spain for like a weekend and then fly back, or how's that?
Whatever it takes. I mean, I know that I'm going to spend all the money that I have doing this, but I don't mind. If I have to go back sleep with my parents, I don't mind. I mean, this is my dream, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes. So,
but the Do You Know Why video. So the idea for the video, when we came up with it, it was like it's sort of the arc of the band. Like, we had this idea. Chewy struggled for years to be in a band. Now we're in this band. We're trying our best. You know, we worked on this record so hard for literally like years. And, you know, just writing the songs and recording them. And we had so many challenges while we were recording them. And while we were writing them, it was a pandemic. There was so many challenges. And then we finally kind of get to this tower and we climb to the top. And it's like, you know, glorious. Like, this record, it's finally coming out. And like, people are finally going to hear our music. And Chili finally gets to do a record. And there's something glorious about that. And that's really what the video is supposed to portray. Like in case people don't pick up on that. It's a very metaphorical video.
Sure. I mean, at the end of the video, you're all kind of like, you got your arms around each other and you're all smiles at the top of that tower.
Yeah.
So it definitely, you know, the pieces are there for people to pick up on for sure. How has the recording process been for everyone? Because Tim's in, I think, Los Angeles or out in California somewhere, and you know, of course, you're on the East Coast. Chui, you're across the pond in Spain. So like, you know, I assume you're all recording separately and sending files to a producer who's kind of compiling
Yeah.
everything.
Now it's easier with Dropbox. It's super convenient.
Sure.
We can, because each one recorded the things and post it on Dropbox, and then Tom could grab it from here and from there and produce the record.
Yeah, everything was recorded at different studios, and then Tom just took the tracks.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, Tom, you said, is doing a fantastic job putting everything together, because it sounds so cohesive and sounds really natural, you know. And on the sound of the band, like one of the things I was really stoked when I first opened the SoundCloud link that I got, was how reminiscent it was for me of music I came up listening to in the 90s and early 2000s. It had like a real like skate punk vibe that I love as a skateboarder, you know, and it kind of took me back. Just the vibe and the flow through every song felt like stuff that I would have put on my cassette player when I was a kid, you know, and like thrown on my headphones and gone pushing through, you know, and gone to like go skate a curb in a parking lot. So it definitely got me hyped up to listen to and hear that vibe again, because there aren't too many bands out there kind of pushing that sound right now. So I thought that was cool. And is there any sort of skate influence in the band at all, or is that an unintentional side product of this project?
I mean, I always love that kind of music too.
And me the same. I don't skate, but I love all around it. I live next to a skate park. It's a handmade DIY skate park.
Cover of the album, I believe, is a photo of you sitting on the edge
Yeah,
of the pool.
yeah,
and I was
yeah,
like,
it's that place.
So
it's
from that
place.
image, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I wonder if she skates. I don't know. And then I heard it, and I was
I
like, if she doesn't, she's influenced.
That. Yeah, I didn't remember that the cover of the record is on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, all I did was skateboard. Me and Capo, that's all we did. We would get out of school and we would skateboard till nighttime.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, so that definitely comes across. And then Values Here, the name of the band is, I'm assuming it's from the Dag Nasty song. Am I right there in assuming that?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
You know, when we were coming up with names, when we were trying to come up with names for the band, I really wanted the band name to have something to do with hardcore. Just because, I don't know, like I've been involved in this scene for so long, and you know, just doing hardcore for so long. I wanted to kind of keep that connection with hardcore. So I really wanted to call it a hardcore song. So I set out, you know, I made this big list of all my favorite hardcore songs, and I started looking on the internet at bands that had already taken the name. And every song has been taken by a band. There's some band in Poland somewhere with literally every single Minor Threat song, even the obscure ones, is taken. Every single Bad Brain song, taken. Every single Misfit song, taken. It's unbelievable. You look up any hardcore song that you know, and you look up to see if there's a band name, and there will be a band somewhere with that name. It's so hard to get a name from a hardcore song. So, but when we looked for Values Here, it wasn't taken. Now, I know there's a band, Values Here, that just put their stuff on Spotify.
Oh.
They're from 2008. But even in like January and February, when we got signed to End Hits, you know, we were looking all over, making sure there was no other band named Values Here. We were looking on Spotify, Apple Music, Google, you know, Discog and all that stuff. And there was no band. So we said, okay, we'll use Values Here. But it was so weird. Like, as soon as we announced the band, that old band from 2008 put their stuff on Spotify. I don't know if it was just a coincidence or maybe they heard, oh, there's another Values here. We better get our stuff on Spotify really quick.
Yeah, you never know. Have you reached out to them to try to figure
I
out?
I tried to. I looked for them. I think that they are from Australia. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think they are from Australia. But I looked for the people in the band. I tried to look for them in Instagram, but I assume that they don't play anymore because the record is from 2008 and
No, they don't play anymore. And then I in a panic when I saw that, I called up the record label. I was like, oh my God, there's another band Values here. Should we change the name? And the guy from the record label, he laughed and he said, Purcell, go on Spotify. I said, okay. He goes, look up how many bands are named Youth of Today. And I thought there was only one Youth of Today.
I did that too.
And there's literally like 20 bands called Youth of Today. They're like reggae bands.
And Shelter too.
Shelter. There's a million bands named Judge. Forget it. So I guess it's no big deal, but yeah, we thought we had come up with that name, and that's really one of the reasons why we picked the name, because it wasn't taken. But I also really love that name. And I was happy to do that name because Dag Nasty were a big influence for the sound of this record too. I really love that. I love Brian Baker's guitar playing in all of his bands, and he's a big influence on me, just as a guitar player. So I think it just kind of fits the sound also.
Yeah, one of my favorite bands, just who snatched their name from a Killing Time song, is Wisdom in Chains. It's a lyric in a Killing Time song, and they pulled it, and I'm like, it took me a while to figure that one out, but yeah, it's wild. Like you said, you can't really go too far without finding bands that have poached names from anywhere.
And not only songs, phrases, catchphrases like "Stay True," "Truth." Well, "Truth Till Death" is the name of a song too. Stuff like that. There's a hardcore band. I mean, it's not a rock band. It's always hardcore.
Yeah. Hardcore bands, man. They've taken all the good names.
Yeah.
Well, I think Values here is good, and I think it kind of reflects what I've heard. Bring Me the PMA and all this stuff. It's value driven sort of music. So I think the name is pretty appropriate.
It's funny because since we released those two songs, a lot of people have contacted me, just like random people that I don't know, and they said, "Man, I really love this stuff. Like, it's such a breath of fresh air. There isn't a lot of like positive, energetic music these days. It seems everything's very moody and dark and heavy and somber and suicidal. That seems to be the kind of like trend in music. And then for us to come out and it's very bright and kind of positive and optimistic. People have just been like, wow, this is so refreshing. Like, I haven't heard music like this in a while. And I really like that. And I'm really glad we called the band Values here, because I think that also kind of reflects that just kind of like positive mentality of the band. And it's pretty cool too, because if you know us as people, we're all very like positive kind of people too. So I think that just naturally is going to come out in the music that we do also.
Sure. Yeah. So just a few like things from around the band, right? So Chui, when you first came to the States, did had you met Tim or Vinny before? Or
no, I met them when he reached his friends to make the band. Like, hey, we were looking for band members, and they were their friends. I didn't know them, but once I met them, it was like connection instantly.
That's great.
They are so nice. I love them. They're so nice
and
so funny.
Gelled right away.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, if you know Tim and Vinny, it's really hard not to like them. They're quite likable guys.
I'm sure they'll be happy to hear that.
And the truth, we are laughing all the time. and we have so much in common too, because all the band, we are like healthy, positive people. We like sport. We like I don't know how to explain it, but the lifestyle, it's similar, so it's easy to get along with people like that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like that, I feel like a lot of that goes along with bringing the positive mental attitude to your daily life. You know,
Yeah.
you tend to be outside a little bit more. You tend not to eat garbage, you know, like whatever it is. And
whole band's like that.
yeah, that's great. You know, that'll definitely supply at least a base level of camaraderie.
It's amazing. You know, I've known Tim since I was a kid. Tim went to my high school. He was like a few years younger than me. And his parents were kind of like into Eastern spirituality. I remember when I first walked into his house, you know, back at high school. I walked into his house and there's pictures of like gurus and cows and India, like all over the wall. So I was like, dude, your parents are so weird. And they had like a meditation room in their house. And because of that, Tim kind of grew up in a very sort of enlightened household, you could say. And everybody used to make fun of him in the lunchroom because he was a vegetarian. And when everybody else was eating like ring dings and like lunchroom hamburgers and chocolate milk and Twinkies and like, you know, just the worst kind of food that, you know, school kids would eat, he'd be there with his like lunch from his easty westy mother, and he would have like brown rice and kale and like, you know, just like the healthiest food like ever. And it's amazing because, you know, he's kind of grown up just in a very kind of healthy environment, eating very, very healthy food. And now the guy is like, you can't believe how young he looks. Like if I told you he was 20, you would believe it, even though he's like, you know, twice that.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible how that kind of lifestyle can really just, it can keep you going, you know, and it really,
sure.
It keeps you energetic and healthy. And he's a real kind of like living emblem of that.
Yeah. I mean, I would, you know, on a personal level, I would file you and, you know, the rest of Shelter really in there, because as a skateboarder, one of my favorite songs has been In the Van Again. And there's a line in the song, it's like, there's a health food restaurant over there. And like, that was a foreign concept, like listening to the lyrics of a song and hearing that and being like, they care about health food? Why should I care about health food? You know?
Kidding. When we would pull into a town, that would be the first question we would ask. Where's the health food restaurant?
So with this band, you know, is this something that you guys are in for the long term, or is this something that, you know, you feel like it's something that you're just digging into and trying to see how long it's gonna go, you know, if that makes sense there.
I mean, we're going to do the band for real. You know, we're going to really try to make it go with the band. So yeah,
be like the Rolling Stones and play forever.
Yeah, that's awesome, because like I got the sense, you know, like a lot of bands, you guys put out your releases 20 plus minutes. You know, there are bands out there who have been around a little while and they put out like a 15-minute EP and then they just kind of sit on it, and that's what is there. You know, that's sort of the trend I feel right now with a lot of bands. So the fact that that you've come out and you've got this you know, a little bit longer of a recording going, um and the vibe of it and the content of it feels like a band that's been together. So I guess for me it was surprising when I really dug into the record. I was like, man, the themes and the sound and the production, this is something that feels really cohesive. Like the band has coalesced from so many different parts of, you know, the globe basically, you know, and I was really impressed by that. So I figured as much, but I just wanted to, you know, ask the question of, you know, how did you see this going, you know?
We've been thinking about the second record since the beginning. Like we were making the first record and talking about the second one. So
That's
You know, you have no idea. The only person that knows how much time and energy I spent on writing these songs is my daughter.
Yeah, Lila.
My daughter saw me for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours writing the songs, then demoing the songs, and then changing them, and then sending them to Chui, and then changing them around so they fit Chui's voice. And it's just like, and then demoing them, and then recording them for real, and then scrapping it, and then recording them again, and then recording them with Tom, and then Tom telling me to redo stuff. It's just like, have you actually counted all the hours that I've put into this band so far? It's astronomical. It's literally like you can't even believe it.
Yeah, I mean that comes through when you listen to it. Like there's a lot of little things, and again, you know, I mentioned the production before, but like you'll hear like there'll be like little guitar, not even like riffs, but just like it's almost like a little bit of guitar hanging in the background, and these like little like there's a lot of attention to detail musically going on that I found really impressive, because it's like I said before, it kind of has that 90s early 2000s skate punk vibe to me, but it's more technical than that. You know what I mean? There's a little bit more going on. It's not quite as like it's straightforward, but not in a simple way, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of layers happening.
You know, your typical punk or hardcore band will record 2 tracks, guitar left and guitar right. Every single song in this record has like 14, 15, sometimes 20 guitar tracks.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of layering. There's a lot of like, you know, just rhythm guitar tracks, but they're doing things different than the main rhythm guitar tracks. So they kind of add a little depth to it. And then there's leads. There's actual leads. And then there's like little texture things that are just kind of in the background, but they give the, they give the music a little bit of texture.
Yeah.
And I'm really into that. And Tom Soares is also really into that. He's like one of those guys like, I want you to do this guitar. I want you to do another guitar track that goes count. I want you to do a ascending riff on this, and then send me another guitar track on a different guitar that's got a brighter sound that has a harmonizing thing, but it descends downwards. Go. You know, he was.
Yeah, and in another song, Chui, can you play tambourine? You know, like I don't even own a tambourine, but I had to find one, and we go like because he had these ideas like I want this sound. So he helped us in the sound, in the whole sound of the record with these little things.
Yeah, that's great when you can have somebody like that that's kind of behind the scenes in your corner who gets what it's all about, you know, from that standpoint, who can push you to get those different sounds and that different, you know, those different elements on the record.
I mean, Tom is like, if you know him and if you work with him, he's like a true musical genius, like producer genius type of guy. I mean, he's done Jay-Z records, Britney Spears records, Common records, you know, you name it. He's worked with like practically every major, you know, platinum selling band or artist there is.
Sure.
You don't get there by accident. You know what I mean? You get there because you know what you're doing, and you're super creative.
Yeah, and having that breadth of experience is going to help, you know, kind of widen the sound of whatever project he's working on, I imagine.
Yeah, so we were super, super fortunate to be able to work with him.
Were you aiming for any particular sound, or was this just like, you know, the songs got written and this is how it ended up, or was there, you know, an end product where you said we want it to have this sort of flavor?
Well, the way that the way that the band first started was, you know, like Chui was like super persistent, and she was, you know, she just said, send me some songs, like demo a song, send to me. I guarantee you, I'm going to sing on it, and you know, you'll be impressed. Give me a chance, you know, stuff like that. Real like Rocky story. And so I actually had these songs, you know, Bold. I'm not really in Bold, but you know, I go on tour with them a lot. Like they asked me to go on tour because they, you know, there's 4 people in the band, but they really like all the guitar parts on the songs. They need a second guitarist. So for years, I would just like kind of help out the band, and I would go on tour with them. And then they approached me, and this was like a few years ago, and they said, we want to try, we're going to do a new album, and could you write some songs for it? And so I was like, yeah, sure. And we all, you know, I wrote I wrote a few songs for them, and we even like went into the studio and we were like starting to demo stuff. But you know just how things goes. Like the record just never happened. And so I had those songs that I wrote from Bold demoed with no vocals on them because I had originally sent them to Matt, the singer for Bold, with just demoed with no vocals on them. And so I was just like, you know what? I got these songs unused. I thought they were great songs too. Like I really like worked on them and put my heart and soul into them. Really tried to get really thoughtful and creative on them, and they just weren't being used. So I was like, this girl's bugging me to send her song. I should just send her those songs. So I took those songs that I wrote for Bold, which became Will Be Tomorrow, Bring Me the PMA, and Earthlings. All those were songs that I had originally written for Bold. And so I sent them to Chui, and we tell this story every interview, but I sent, the first song I sent her was Will Be Tomorrow, the music for Will Be Tomorrow. And 2 days later, I could not believe it. Like usually when you send something for a singer to demo, the singer sends back something just like very crude. I mean, I said things to like Ray Capo, and he'll just be like humming, because he doesn't have the time to just like write all the lyrics out in one day.
Yeah.
But Chui got this, and she was like, okay, here's my chance. All the lyrics, all the melodies, and all the harmonies in like 48 hours, and recorded them layered with multiple vocal tracks. And she sent them back to me. And the thing that she sent back, like my demo actually sounded pretty good. Like I'm pretty good at GarageBand and stuff like that. So I can make semi-professional sounding stuff. And she sent it back to me, and it's pretty much like a semi-rough version of what you hear on the record. And so you can imagine, like, that's one of my favorite songs on the whole record. And she sent it back, and I listened to it, and I was like, with all the harmonies and everything, it sounded like a real song. I was like, this is amazing. And so then I sent her the other song. So that was the bass sound was sort of those songs that I wrote for Bold. And, if you follow the arc of Bold, they put out Speak Out, which is super hardcore sounding. Mm-hmm. And then they did that other EP that was a little bit more rock, a little bit more melodic. So it was sort of that arc that I was going for. So the music is hardcore, but it's actually, pretty melodic, because that was the direction that Bold was going in. And then, so that was kind of like the bass sound. And then I think from that, just going in that natural direction, I started going into like a Dag Nasty DC-ish kind of sound. And that's like the sound that you hear on the record. So it's a mix between like Bold, sort of, Bold post-hardcore, and like mixed with like some of my favorite kind of like DC stuff. And that was my main inspiration. I mean, the cool thing about music is that, every musician is an individual. So you're always going to put your own individual stamp on it. And so even though I think it's influenced by that kind of stuff, I don't think it particularly sounds like that stuff. I'm pretty happy that I think we came up with our own kind of very unique style and sound that I don't think a lot of people are actually doing these days.
Go check out Values Here. It sounds fantastic, and I know that you've both got other sort of stuff going on. So if you have any other plugs or whatever that you want to go, it's of course, like I said, Values Here on End Hits Records. I know that there's a Saturday morning, I think, yoga instruction. If you want to plug that, or
yeah, please follow the band on Instagram. It's @Values Here. We really, really want to tour. If there's any like bigger bands out there that need an opening band, we're your band. Get in touch with us @Values Here. DM us or whatever. Also, my personal Instagram is The Hardcore Yogi. Please follow me on there. And also, yeah, I do Saturday morning yoga classes for an hour from 10 to 11 New York time. And if you want to do some yoga with me, I do it every week, and just DM me and I'll tell you how you can do some yoga. Chui, you got anything?
Yeah. No. My Instagram is Chui Canela with a K. And if you want a tattoo, if you live in Barcelona and want a tattoo, my shop is called Trash Heart Tattoo, and you can come whenever you want.
Is the Instagram @Thrash Hard Tattoo?
Yeah.
Well, that's a great place to end it. Thank you both for doing this. I know you got a busy day ahead of you doing a lot of media. So, yeah, go
Thank
get some
you.
food, and we'll see you on the others, around, I'm sure.
All right, brother. If you
Cool.
come to the show, come up and say, hey, I'm the guy that interviewed you.
Absolutely.